Right now, we're going to bring you to the Remix Project, one of the organizations that received funding from Mayor David Miller. We're sitting down with Brian Brock, Gavin Sheppard, and Drex. We're also going to take you to the annual fundraiser, Give Money, Make Change, Part 2. Well, Gavin, first of all, thank you so much for sitting down with us. I know you're a busy man. Now, can you please tell us what is the Remix Project and give us some history behind it?
The Remix Project is basically like a cultural incubator, right? And what that means is it's working with some of the most talented young people from across the city, whether it's in the recording arts, recording their own music, producing music, composing music, and the engineering side as well, the technical side, or whether that's the creative arts, running the gamut from illustration to graphic design, web design, photography, video, writing. And then finally, the art of business, teaching the basics in terms of entrepreneurship, or whether it's looking to enter into the cultural industries or creative industries with more established companies and whatnot, but preparing people for that kind of entry into those markets. So the Remix Project is actually the evolution of something called the IC Visions Project, which was more of a drop-in focused center, but focused still around urban arts and culture that was in the West End. And Remix came about 2006, right? So just after 2005, Summer of the Gun, that whole thing. That was happening in the city of Toronto. There was a lot of political will and clout to do something, but people didn't necessarily know what that something was, right? So we've been running programs since 2000 as IC Visions, and we've been tapped into the exact kind of demographic and market that a lot of the politicians and different funders were looking to reach and didn't know how to do, so we were kind of uniquely positioned. At the same time, a young man named Kende Ba, who sat on the mayor's community safety secretariat, the Making a Safe City Safer panel, had brought forth our program, the IC Visions Project at that point, to the attention of the panel and saying this is a really interesting model. If we ramp this up and help to build the capacity of its leaders and the program itself, I think it could really do something exciting. And so it was his vision that then came to the existing program that both our current partner Drex and I were still running at that point. And we started to put it together and start to look at, okay, so what did we learn from running this drop-in for 5 years? What were the strong points, but what were the points that we really wanted to focus on? And what we realized was we really wanted to concentrate on doing deep investment. Those young people who were coming through the doors who were just incredibly talented and who might need that extra support but didn't necessarily have it. We wanted to focus on those people who we really thought could move forward, versus a drop-in model where it was just first come, first serve, and you didn't necessarily get to concentrate on the talents who really deserved it and who could really do something with their passion,
So it seems like everything that touches the Remix Project or comes out of it turns to gold. You have, Carla Moore, who's a very successful graphic designer, and other students. Can you tell us a couple personal stories?
But in terms of actual students who are in the program and who have gone on to do some really interesting things, I think Carla Moore, definitely Hustle Girl, as many people know her, is a great example. She's been fantastic in terms of what she's accomplished. She was already a really cool young graphic designer working on her own, developing a client list and whatnot, but coming through the program, developing the context that she did, and then refining the already incredible talent that she had was definitely, I think, a turning point, from going from this really cool kind of grassroots-based graphic designer to now being at the level where she's recognized and being tapped by major players like Drake, like Lil Wayne, what have you, as well as being interviewed by major media outlets, for her opinion, and even paying her to Twitter, from live events and stuff, which is crazy. She would be an incredible example. Another one would be, Will Nguyen. A lot of people know as Photo Will, who runs LostInTheWilderness.com as an event photographer. Is Chris Bosch's official photographer, and who just mounted his first solo show called Lost in the Wilderness. That was an absolutely incredible success, and has since been tapped to be in a bunch of different things like the Life Cycles photography exhibition, which is another really amazing, successful event that went down here in Toronto. So, there's all different types of examples, music producers, songwriters, and then fashion stylists even, a guy like Jabril Jala, Fresh, for what he's accomplished from going from being an intern in this Bossy Girls company to then working his way up to becoming an assistant, and then from assistant to handling the men's styling for all of their shoots, and then up to now being the manager of the company, right, which is just an incredible growth process. To Chantel Bisso, who is a young woman that started a magazine while in the program and ended up employing a lot of other young people from her community as writers, graphic designers, photographers, etc., and is actually producing magazines. First, her Bisso magazine, 2 issues successfully on the street, and now becoming the editor-in-chief of the nationally published Pound magazine, which Remix is now starting to put out as of December of 2010. So, there's all these amazing examples of young people who are coming in with a distinct kind of skill set and with a very strong passion to do something, and just being supported to realize these ideas, right, through their own skills and through their own kind of drive and ethic. Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about the term at risk in terms of how it's been applied to certain groups or certain communities?
I think the term at risk is a really narrow term, and it can be insulting. It can be a whole lot of things. I mean, you use it in grant applications because it's just like you're trying to talk about a certain demographic, and it's just the most widely accepted term. We always put quotations around it because what does at risk actually mean, right? I mean, at risk could mean you're living in the hood and you're involved in the drug trade, and you know what I mean, you have potential charges up against you and whatever. But it could also be like too much money, not enough love, you're developing a coke habit at 16 years old. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the other side of it that people don't realize. So while we do like work primarily in the quote unquote priority neighborhoods, like we do understand that there's a much broader definition to the just someone being at risk of becoming a young mother, or be, you know, which is not even something to be at, you know, risk or whatever, right? Not something to be looked down upon. Life is a beautiful thing. But it's like, or getting involved in the justice system or getting shot. You know what I mean? There's a very, very broad reality to what risk is, right? Not living up to your potential is a risk. You know what I mean? Walking across the street at this point is a risk, you know? So really we're about working with young people that have incredible talent, who have vision, you know, and who have dedication and a work ethic, who might not have access to resources. Do you know what I mean? So for us, the at-risk aspect is that the world is at risk of missing out on this incredible talent. You know what I mean? More than it is about someone being trapped in the hood, you know?
How does the curriculum here differ from that found in a traditional school setting?
I think the way that the Remix Project differs from a traditional school is that we're a self-generative curriculum. So what that means is young people will actually come in and get the chance to actually define their own curriculum, right? So there are mandatory workshops that everyone has to attend, like credit, you know, what is credit? How do we build it? How do we get good credit? You know, how's that $300 credit card going to set you up to own land one day, or like screw you over for 7 years of your life, you know, depending on your responsibility and whatnot. But otherwise, aside from these kind of mandatory subjects or I guess one-time workshops, you get to define it, you know, around your passion or around your area of interest, right? So you walk into Remix, you've gone through an application process, you've gone through an interview process, and those top 10 young people who've been accepted into a 6-month program, that first week is dedicated to saying, in 6 months, I want to be here. You know, we're like, okay, if you want to be here and we're starting from here, then we got to do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G to get there, right? And it's starting with small, manageable goals that then steamroll into larger ones towards like that general success that people are chasing and looking for.